my fishy, welcome to the pod. I am so happy to have you here. I have left a bunch of information and a bunch of links for you to check out, including how to get me your measurements, how to join the Facebook group, all of these good things. So definitely be sure, I know it's reading, who likes to read, but there's some reading that you gotta do. We gotta get you all nice and set up. Get me those measurements as soon as possible so I can get things rolling. So excited. It's gonna be so good. Now, first things first, I want to remind you that you will need to have your Luna beforehand. I did mention this in the listing, but just in case you missed it, you will need to have the finis Luna in size medium before you give me your measurements, because I do actually need your measurement from, I believe it's your ankles to the middle of your monofin here. So that's all explained in the measurements sheet, but I just wanted to remind you, just in case you try to do it without, to get those really juicy, accurate measurements, make them as accurate as possible, I will need you to have the fin ahead of time, okay? So the main three things that we're gonna talk about today are how to insert your monofin, how to put your tail on and take your tail off, and how to maintain your tail over time. Each tail has a zipper on the side that'll make it really easy for you to put your monofin in and take your monofin out as well. Please be super, super gentle when putting your monofins in. I know it can be very exciting to want to just like jam it in and like get it done. There is a method to the madness, I swear. So I'm going to explain that to you in the next clip. I'm going to show you how to put your monofin in nicely and how to take it out nicely. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is unzip our mermaid tail. We're going to take the Luna monofin and we're going to stick it with the far side, like the further side of the fin away from you. We're going to tuck that in first. That's the first step, is to really tuck it in there all the way to the very end. This is going to be a snug fit, my fishes. That's just going to be part of the experience. You want it to be a snug fit. And of course, all of the tails will be tested with the monofin first before it's sent to you to make sure that everything fits nicely. So then you're going to take the back of the fin, you're going to kind of squish it in. This is a silicone fin. It can handle it. I mean, obviously you want to treat your fin nicely as well, but to really help support your zipper is going to be really important. So then you're going to grab that other heel strap and kind of tuck that in and under, always trying your best not to unnecessarily stress out the zipper area, like pinch around it, try to keep it secure. And now we're going to take the other side of the fin, fold it up, and then tuck it in, and then we're gonna fold it out and down. This is the best way to do this, and yes, the monofin can handle this. It takes a little bit more doing, and this is the easiest way to do it, I promise. I've tried every other way to get the fin in there. This is the best way to do it. So then you're gonna tuck this corner in the same way as you did on the other side. Just really kind of take your time with it, because once it's in, you're going to want it to look good. And it's at this point, when everything is still just sort of initially put in, that you have the most ability to, like, it'll be the easiest for you to go in and make little adjustments, which you will need to do, because like I said, it's a snug fit, which is what you want. Like, you want your monofin to fit in there snugly to avoid excess billowing and things. It's just the best way to go, right? So lots of little adjustments. Make sure you're really happy with it. Pull the fabric out a little bit more so that you can really wrap around the zipper. And then you just zip it up. It's going to take a little bit of finessing. This part's a little bit, this is some of the glamorous side of mermaiding, honestly. This is where it gets really glamorous. But you know what? It has to be a snug fit, I promise. This is the best way to do it. It's got to be snug. You can see it's going to take a minute, but once it's in and you're good to go. You just make any little adjustments that you need to, look it over. And now to take it out, you do the exact opposite. Just the same thing, basically in reverse. You unzip it. You're going to pull out that one corner first. This is crucial because it will put too much strain on the zipper if you try and take the heel fin, like the heels out first. But you just essentially do the same thing. And there you go. But now that you have the monofin in, let's put on the tail, shall we? Let's try that out and see how it goes. Okay, so now we're ready to put on our mermaid tail. So I'm wearing leggings here. I do recommend that you wear something that matches as best as you can the color of your tail. I'm wearing leggings just because it's what I happen to be wearing today. You can wear just swim bottoms as well. Try to match the tail as best as you can, but we put one foot in at a time. I start with my dominant foot. I'm right-handed, so my right foot goes in first. This is what it looks like on the Luna without the tail skin. I know some people struggle with this, so you just jam your foot in as far as it'll go and then put the heel strap up. I never undo my Luna, just by the way. I've never had to, I never do it. Now you're ready to put the second foot in. So you're going to kind of weasel your way, tuck it in. Again, we're going to see this from the other angle. Have jammed your foot in the full way as far as it'll go first. This is important because then the strap will just go right up. No problem. Always make sure that you've adjusted your seams as well before you just yank the tail up. It's easier to do it in sections to make sure that each seam lines up really nicely on your body. You also really want to just avoid grabbing your, don't do that. Don't grab your fins to pull it up. Pull up on the actual fabric. And the best place to pull it up is actually on the seam itself so that you're helping to support the seams as well. You get it up to your knees and then you shimmy forward and you can get it up. Please pardon my expression. The lighting in this is just terrible, but slide it up over your bum. I like to tuck my thumbs in to help myself do that and just kind of roll it up just like that. Make a few adjustments and you're good to go. Okay, so now that you know how to put the mermaid tail on, I should probably show you guys how to take it off. Now, taking it off in the water and on land is very similar, but I'm going to show you guys how to take it off in the water in case of an emergency and you need to get out of your tail quickly. I'm going to show you how fast you can actually take this tail off. Now, when it comes to taking off the tail, be careful not to flash the entire pool, right, Courtney? Oh my goodness. But you can see, you just slide it off, put your fingers in, take one heel strap off, then the other, and you're done. So now in this next clip, I'm going to show you guys my whole cleaning procedure, how I go through it, how I deal with stains, because there's one pool that I swim at that just loves to leave big dark marks. We're also going to talk in the next clip about how to pill shave any areas that get fuzzy or get some pilling, because again, fabric mermaid tail problems, am I right? But you know what? If you know how to combat it, you're good to go. All right, so the first thing that I want to show you guys here is my Shout Triple Action Stain Remover. I've got my swimsuit cleaner from Swimco. I swear by this stuff. I love it. Here's my soft bristled toothbrush. You're going to take a cap full of your swimsuit cleaner or gentle detergent. You're going to fill it up. I don't use hot water. I just use warm, not like scalding water. I give everything a really good squish through, like you're kneading bread almost. I kind of soak it through, just really squeeze the water in, do all of this, really just let it absorb as much as possible. And then you can see there was some staining, so I was a little bit bummed about that, but that's what we got the Shout for. So first things first, you put some on and you kind of massage it in. You're just going to work it in and let it sit for a couple of minutes, like not too long, but just for a little bit. Give it a good spritz and massage it in. Then you're going to take your gentle toothbrush and you're just going to, in either a circular motion, a little bit at a time, being very gentle. I've said it before, but you got to be gentle. This will create some pilling if you do this excessively. And if you need a little bit of extra shout, that's kind of that's the better way to go, is just to use a little bit of extra shout. But just so you can see how I'm kind of working it in there and then giving it another really good soak through, just really go. Drain it out. Give it a really good rinse, squeeze it all out, let the sink drain out, and then you're good to start squeezing it out. Now, I don't recommend like wringing it out hardcore. I do kind of like a twist and squeeze when it comes to actually getting the water out of my tail. I don't like to really hardcore wring it out, right? So just be gentle, a little bit at a time, little bit. And then to dry it out, I just use a drying rack and I kind of hang it out on there. I noticed that there was some rust on my drying rack, so I decided to lay a little towel down to avoid getting any of it on my tail. It's getting old, man. This drying rack's super old, but what are you gonna do? And then I've just, I hang it out nicely to dry. You can do this outside. I don't recommend doing it in direct sunlight, so I do it in my bathtub. There you go. Okay, now this is my pill shaver, this little friend. You only use this when your tail is completely dry. Please, please, please do not use this when your tail is wet. The batteries go in the back. The little fluff nuggets will be collected in the front. It just has its basic on-off switch, and this is what it looks like on the inside. It's 3 little blades. This is not for kids. Like, please be very careful. You can cut yourself on these. They are really sharp. You do need to be really careful when you're using it because it can potentially put holes into your fabric, but you can see like the benefit of using one. Now the reason this tail has some pilling is because I intentionally did this just so I could make the video. I intentionally tried to destroy the tail just so I could show you guys what to do as this happens. Obviously, if you're swimming on a rough surface, this is something you're going to encounter. So you can do this. Don't do it like do it as you need to. I wouldn't say you need to do this after every single swim, because this does also wear down the fabric, but it's more just for the aesthetic. If you're finding like, oh geez, you know, getting some pilling on the heels where you were standing in your tail, or you were swimming by a lot of rocks or things, like this is just a great way to kind of maintain and upkeep your tail. Okay, so with your tail, there will be safety instructions and there will be like an explanation. You know, it's common sense needs to always be first and foremost the most important thing. Being safe in your mermaid tail, swimming in bodies of water where you are comfortable, using the buddy system, all of these things will help you stay safe in your mermaid tail. As far as damage and things, since this is more what this is about, I would say please don't stand in your mermaid tail as best as you can. Like standing to put it on is one thing, but when I say standing, I mean like jumping around on the pool deck. No matter how many YouTube celebrities you see do this, it is not safe and it is not a good thing for your mermaid tail, and it is like sincerely the most cringeworthy thing any tail maker will ever see is somebody jumping around in their mermaid tail. Will just make your soul just cry. Okay, so please just don't do that. Avoid really rough surfaces. I purposefully really tried to damage this tail. I purposefully used it and not hopped around it, but like scuffed it around and really tried to rough it up. The more that you do that, the more damage it will sustain, the faster. I always recommend put a towel down. If you're gonna be on a rough surface, use a yoga mat. Expect that if you're going to use this in a natural body of water with lots of rocks and lots of grit and lots of dirt and sand, it's going to get damaged. This is just a fact of life. This is just part of the experience. But you can avoid it by being very clever. You know, if you're going to do a photo shoot and you need to be on a rocky area and it's a dark area, get a dark mat. You can always Photoshop that stuff later. It's always doable. So little things like that, okay? Making sure that you're not, please don't tug excessively on your fins. They're not like, they're anchored in there, obviously they're well anchored in there. They're not going anywhere, but when you put your tail on, it's really important not to use the fins to pull it on. So the one other thing I want to let you guys know is I don't put elastics in my waistbands for many reasons, but the primary reason is I don't like having a seam across the front. So you will have two little side seams. Just like that. It's a rolled over waistband. The beauty of this is that in photos, like when you're editing out your waistband later, you don't have to deal with that seam that cuts into all of the scales. You just get that nice fade. It's a wonderful thing. I've been using it like this since 2011. We started doing rolled waistbands. So it's my favorite thing to do. But when you do put it on, you're gonna feel like this is unrolling funny. Why is this doing this? What's happening? Like it might come up a little bit or something funny. What you do is while you're wearing it, you can stick either your thumb or your index fingers into it and just like on your body, just give it a little wiggle. I also will use my thumbs to smooth out the inner and outer area. Once you do that once, it should just remain and be intact. It's also going to depend on the kind of top that you're wearing if you're tucking stuff into it, but this is my preferred waistband. I feel like it doesn't cut off circulation. It doesn't give me that like line right through my tum, which is just so flattering. You know what I mean? I personally, it's the way to go and it's the way that I like it. Okay, now that we've been through all of these things, let's talk measurements really, really quick. I do need you to actually trace yourself out onto paper to get your measurements as accurately as possible. I know it's a little bit, maybe it seems a little bit counterintuitive, but just I promise you, to get the best fit, I need you to trace yourself out onto paper as I've included in the instructions. Get your outline that way and take your measurements off of your outline that way. I will actually be able to tell if you don't do this. So because I have made so many mermaid tails for all body types and all different shapes over the last however many years I've been doing this now. So I can tell because, for example, my waist is I think 36 inches, but my measurement, like what would you call this? Your diameter, if you will, is like 13 inches or something like this. So I'll be able to see what's going on. So just a heads up, please do that for me. Be as accurate as possible. Get somebody to help you if need be, because I want these tails to fit you really well. Also, if you've known, we are using new fabric. So this new fabric is far more accurate when it comes to your measurements, which just makes me so happy because the vertical stretch is not as much as it was on my previous fabric, which is really important. So measure to where you want the tail to sit. Now there will be obviously some variables, okay, depending on A, how accurate you were with your measurements, and B, if you're one of these people who really likes to yank on their tails and pull them up. My tails are not meant to be ripped all the way up. It'll come to a point, you give it a little shimmy and it's on. And that's where you leave it. So I just wanted to say that. Now, of course, at any point at all, you have a question, you've got a concern, you're confused, anything, you shoot me an email and I will get back to you as soon as possible. You can also, once you've joined the Mermaid Lagoon, that's where all of my other mermaids who have my tails have kind of commingled. It's our little secret place. You feel free to leave any questions, anything that you want to talk about in there, and somebody, if not me, for sure, will get back to you and it'll be good. So hopefully that was all clear and I answered all of your questions and all of the things, and I am so excited to get you this tail. And if you haven't already, I cannot wait to see you swim in it, so please be sure to tag me because you're one of my fishes now, so you're part of the family, you're part of the fam, you know what I'm saying? So let's enjoy this adventure together, and thank you again so much for supporting my business. It truly means the world to me. This brings me so much joy and happiness and light and love that I want to share it with you. So thank you so much, and happy swimming. Bye.